I'd love to say something fancy and like I'm a tactical genius or something like that, but I'm not, and that's not the way I coach. So just been talking about all along internal belief, fighting and sticking together. We've made obviously little tweaks and we've done certain things to try to win each game and done something a little bit different every time, and there's been different players called upon, but that was the big message, is like we have to do this together. It's not going to be one player that's just going to carry us, and that's not an underlying tone to anybody else. It's just the fact of like I tell this group that you have to do this together. You can't have passengers. So whatever shape we play, whatever tactics we give them, it's going to have to be everybody in it together. And you could see that like they really believe that they can do something. So it wasn't pretty at times. And if you would have told me I had three goals on the road, I would have said you're lying. But yeah, they've got some internal belief right now.
Separating these two things, how proud are you of their performances in these 3 games, and how proud are you of yourself and your management and your tactics and man management in these 3 games?
I'm really proud of them. They, and not just in these 3 games, that just in general. When I sit there and I reflect on what the season has been for them, it's been really difficult, and they keep showing up, and that's my message has been to them about continuing to show up the next day, do your job, no matter if it's been good, bad, indifferent. Like you have to show up and do the work. So I'm really proud of them. Like the work that they put in is on the field in the games, yes, great. But every day at training and the attentiveness to the video sessions or whatever it might be, like they're just for me they're really bought in. And in terms of the second part of the question, I'm really proud of the staff that I work with. It's not one person, it's not one staff member. So for me, I'm really proud of the group that I have, that I get to work with every day. I pinch myself every day. I really do. They're the driving force of the team. Like they are bigger than myself. They're so good at their jobs, and I just don't want this to end. So I hope we can kind of keep kicking on here.
Do you think the team was feeding off of Guzan's energy and his interactions with Suarez and some of the things that were happening on the field in these past 2 games?
Maybe. I mean, I think put those interactions on the field aside, they feed off him anyways. He's the leader of this team. He's the captain of the club for a good reason, and he is. I mean, he's just the ultimate professional. The way he approaches every single day, he's. Of course, they feed off him, but it had nothing to do with interactions. I don't think they just feed off him because he's the leader.
Could you talk about the development of Bartosz Slisz and just how he's grown this season?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I probably need a longer time to think about that, but he's grown into every game that he's played. He takes things like, I don't mean this in a bad way, he takes things so personal when they maybe don't go his way. Like, I think back to the New York City game, give away, and when he's down and he's just thinking, oh, like I've let everybody down because I feel like he cares so much. And then the penalties stuff in Leagues Cup, but the thing is he's bounced back, and you look at him there, like he just putting his body on the line, clearances, like just putting a shift in, playing in a different position, out of necessity for the team. So I feel like he's one of many of that just selfless workers.
When things were getting crazy in the second half and Miami's not in any kind of normal shape, how were you thinking through the substitutions and what you wanted to do with your team?
Yeah, I have to like look back on every single moment, but like when I look back at the subs that we made, one was out of necessity, and then thought we could get, because you only got 3 moments, so you're trying to maximize the moments, but also keep guys in rhythm and keep them in the game, and really you have to be really tuned in, and like to jump into a game like that as a sub is really hard. So that, I mean, I don't give you a great answer there, but I just feel like as the subs started to kind of unfold, like I heard, and especially at the end, like I didn't plan to make that sub with Noah, and I heard somebody say like Noah could be helpful, and as I heard it, I was like, all right, let's go with it. Let's lock this down, because there's also, you can think about penalties, but I didn't want to think that direction. So a bunch of different things go through your head in those moments.
Last thing for me, you mentioned that you hear somebody about Noah. How important has the entire staff been in supporting you and this group? I
mean, immense. That's why I said to Doug there, like and I bet any head coach could tell you this, that it's not just the one person. They'd fail at their jobs 100%. We are the way we are because of everybody in that room. And I mean, every player, whether they play a big role, a small role, whatever they think their role is, they're important. And it's the same on the staff. Like, we've got great experience in Robo, and then we've got guys like Matt who are a real educator in terms of the way they coach. You've got Liam, who is just obviously an expert at his role. Like, you just have just different facets. You got the physical part that people can touch on what they've done physically and what they can kind of push themselves in those limits. So, yeah, I mean, I can't say enough good things about them. They're immense.
The first 2 goals seem to come from kind of a similar sequence. The ball over the top from McCarty. Was that part of the tactics for this game? Were y'all looking to attack that space?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not. It never gets drawn up exactly right, but the idea was to try to drag one of the outside center backs, and we thought they'd play in a 3. They didn't, but was to drag one of the outside center backs out and play in the space behind. So the goal Jamal scores is a very good example of that. So yeah, they're not always perfect, but they were a highlight of what we talked about.
And the last goal, Miami players were upset because y'all didn't kick the ball out with Avila was laying on the ground. I was curious if you cared.
No, I mean, I have to watch it back, but I saw Jamal and a player from them on the ground, so I shouted to kick it out, but they're making decisions on the field. Like, I don't know. I can't play the game for them. Like,
I want to ask about Dax McCarty. How important has he been in solidifying that midfield, especially in these games against Inter Miami?
He's played in this league for this long for a reason. So he's a great veteran player that has been in big moments like this. So he brings calmness. He solves things quicker as well rather than my voice or a coach getting onto the field or having to make a sub. So he's able to help players solve things. I'm sure he'll be one to tell you that physically he can't do the same work that maybe a Johnny Fortune can do, but he can help put people in places. So yeah, he's been huge. But yeah, you guys have asked about a lot of individuals, but this has been a massive team effort, collective.
All right, we'll go to the last one on Zoom. Charles, go ahead.
Hey, can you hear me, Rob?
Yeah, all good.
Congratulations, this is Charles Bowman, MLS Soccer. I want to ask about a little detail. All the injuries they had coming into the game, Busquets being out. I just wondered if that factored into the planning at all, and maybe could you just give a little insight about the kind of the defensive vulnerabilities maybe that you saw where you thought you could get at this team?
Yeah, I mean, that didn't change any of our approach. Like, we had to really focus on ourselves and the weight. Like, whether he was in or out, he didn't play the second game. But we had to know that we had to focus on certain aspects from game 1 to game 2 and game 2 to game 3. So that was ultimately what we really tried to focus on, of how we could stop certain opportunities or make them less dangerous. And then on the other side of it was, like I said in the room here to Doug, was we thought they'd play in a back 3. So we were talking about how we could exploit that. We did on the 1 goal with Jamal, even though it was a back 4. So the same areas opened up, and it ended up being a real collective goal.
Doug, last one.
I'm just curious, how nervous were you when Messi had that last free kick, the one in the middle of the pitch?
No, I mean, I don't feel like I'm in the zone of the game, so nerves are irrelevant at that point. It's just focused on people doing their roles, and if he's going to score, he's going to score. He's the greatest player that's ever played, in my opinion, and if he scores, then that's not something he hasn't done before.